terms of match selection for Kingsley, how's Clark to begin with?
No, that's a serious one. So yeah, it's a real shame for the lad 'cause he's done everything asked of him. He's done all his rehab that we've asked of him. We've been patient. He's come off the bench obviously twice as well. So he's a top player. So the temptation is always to start him. But we've been patient. He scored the goal, such a high for him in front of his family and such a big crowd, and obviously a great occasion for everybody. He's had the high, and then obviously 10 minutes later he's had that big low, and it's going to be a big ask for us to pick him back up, but I'm confident that he's mentally strong, and whatever it is, it might be an operation. We've just got to find that out at 1 o'clock today, and then try and get him back at the back end of the season. So it's a big loss for us to lose a player like that for the season, really. So not great news, but the good news was obviously Kwasi came through the hour. That was important for him. And we're starting to look a little bit stronger with players coming back. There were so many anomalies before the game because, like I said in my post-match interview, COVID causes a lot of issues, and you can see that across the board with some teams that are going into closing down training grounds and coming back with their first game and getting beaten heavily, etc., at the highest level right through the league. So there's a lot of anomalies at the moment. It's very challenging for the managers, and it's going to be that way, I think, for the next few months.
And how is Jack then to be? I mean, out for the season? Well, barring the last few games. Maybe?
Looks that way. Yeah, it looks like it's another rupture. So yeah, it's not good.
Curtis Weston obviously is someone that's had to be managed for reasons that you've just outlined. How is he in terms of his availability for the match tomorrow?
Well, it wasn't just Curtis. There was 4 players that had only had one full session before the game. So Curtis, amongst the others, were dead on their feet after the game. So look, we've managed these last few days. We've had to slow training right down, and then hopefully pick it up again today. We've got the squad though. We can manage it. We've shown that before, and anyone that puts the shirt on, like we showed in the second half, we equalised through pure pressure. We really put some balls in the box. We landed on second balls really well in the second half, and we pulverised the opposition really and forced that equaliser. So I'm confident going in tomorrow that we can maintain those standards that we set in the second half.
Presumably then you were outlining the difficulties of match selection being the hardest it's been. Presumably tomorrow's no easier in picking the team that'll play against Kingsley.
No, it's not. But like I said, we've shown our spirit again, and we've got to stick to our team values and let Kingsley bring their own challenges in terms of a new manager. Everyone wants to do well and obviously secure that shirt themselves in the Kingsley squad, I'm sure. He's had a couple of additions as well, good players. So it's going to be a good game, and I'm expecting another good attendance really here.
Because Clark is so influential, do you look to replace his position then? Will you be looking to find somebody maybe to cover for him that isn't necessarily in the squad now?
We may need to. I need to see how. We've got a few players come back from long-term injuries, and I declare sort of an injury longer than 8 weeks is probably a prolonged injury. So we need to see how those players come back, and we've got 3 or 4 of those coming back now into the squad. So we need to see how up to speed they are and whether they can have an instant impact in these games. You can't judge it on one performance. Kwasi's come back in there and yeah, he's done really well in some areas. In other areas, he's frustrated with himself. You can tell because of the standards he sets as a player. He needs a run of 3 or 4 games coming off the bench, starting, etc. And then we can judge, okay, yes, he can have an influence on us and what we want to do in the short term, or he might need some games elsewhere. But I'm confident he can get up to speed after 4 games, and that will be no different to the other players coming in as well. We need to judge over a short period of time, and that's the dilemma because it's performance over development, isn't it? So you need to find a balance there.
So does that mean then that as you plot January, things are kind of on hold then? So if the 4 players that you're referring to come back, they're fine, they're up to speed, you won't necessarily need too much tinkering?
Correct, yeah. But obviously other things can be thrown at you, such as further injuries or whatever. So it's disappointing with Jack, but try and spin it into a positive. We had Kwasi come back, and he done an hour, and look, they're second in the league, so it was a great game for him to judge where he's at.
And I suppose the other side to that is, and in some respects it's a positive, if somebody comes in with an offer the club can't really refuse and you lose somebody, I mean, how much of a worry is that this month?
I don't worry about that. I only worry about what's in front of me and what's factual. So Quasi got through an hour, Clarkey didn't. Players are coming back from COVID, etc. And we try and get as much research and data and try and judge where they're in training as much as possible to select the right team. That's all I'm focusing on. And then after Kingsley, we'll concentrate on Chelsea. So everything's geared to Kingsley. I've been patient and not gone ahead of myself as usual just because it's Chelsea. Everything's been focused on Halifax before the other day. Now it's Kingsley. And then after that, when that final whistle goes, I'll be straight on to Chelsea.
Sum up 2021 then for you.
Remarkable. I was speaking to family members about it yesterday, as you do when you reflect on your year. You listen to their years, and for me personally, it's been a fantastic year to join the club in November in 2020, and 2021's been truly remarkable. Our points per average game is been excellent, and if we maintain that form, we're not going to go far wrong in 5 months' time. The challenge is, can we maintain it for the next 5 months? And we're going to do everything we can to make sure we do. But not talking about just on the pitch, off the pitch, the people I've met here, the relationships I've built inside this building, fantastic, and it's a real community club. And I was really proud on the sideline when the attendance was announced. Look, it takes a lot for my attention to get away from the game that's going on in front of me. But when the attendance was announced and you look around and see how far we've come in such a short space of time as a club, it bodes really well for the future, and I'm really excited to see what 2022 brings here.
Has the rate of change maybe surpassed expectations then?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I said that we want to inspire everyone to start with, and we've certainly done that. We're going through the progression stage now where we're trying to progress into achieving something, and when you get that medal around your neck, that's all you can judge it on, really. And the progression's going well. We're adding a few players. We've brought the average age down. We've got players in the squad now that have market value as well, and we're performing really well. We've scored a hell of a lot of goals this season and let very few in, so it's all boding well. But when you're at the top, which we are at the moment, we have been for it's the same period of time now, you're there to be shot at and everyone's hunting you down, so it's a different kind of pressure, if you like. But I'm confident we can handle that pressure and maintain our form.
Says quite a bit, just as a sideways step, about the National League, that a team, obviously Chesterfield and yourself, that are on such a long run that you're not 7 or 8 points clear of everybody else.
Yeah, it does. It's a very competitive league for different reasons, and I've heard a lot of noise about budgets, this and that. Everyone knows the rules before you get in. The budget has never been a problem at Chesterfield Football Club. I can only speak for ourselves. I don't like to comment on other clubs. For ourselves, the budget's never been a problem. It's been the process, it's been the recruitment, and it's been the consistency of performances. And we've sort of got that right now, and we're looking upwards and rather than downwards, which is really pleasing. And we've changed that mentality. I think you could feel it in the stadium, even though we were 1-0 down. It's the longest period we've been down this season. I think there was a feeling that we were going to score. There's a confidence in the stadium. Everyone's behind each other, and there's a real belief in the players on the pitch and the ones that come on the pitch. The supporters have got a great relationship there, and that's really tangible, and that's something we can move forward with.
Because there can be a sort of dismissiveness about that, can't there, budget-wise? Well, the budget's all right, but plenty of managers at Chesterfield down the years have had the same or similar resources to you, and it's not worked.
Of course, you have to. It comes with different challenges, different jobs. So at Aldershot, when I was the assistant, I was fully aware what Gary Waddock's limitations were with the budget, but we still made the playoffs twice. So you just have to pick your players differently and from a different pool. You might have a larger pool if you have a bigger budget. That means the selection might be more difficult because you've got to pick the right one, or the right player with the right outcomes to perform how you want to on the pitch. But I'll go back to the feeling in the stadium. That's the most important thing, the togetherness, people coming, the demographic of supporters as well, the children, female, male, etc., older age groups. It's a great feeling, and there's a belief in a great relationship between the players and the supporters, and that's what we've built here, and we've got to keep hold of that, cherish that, and really move forward in 2022.